Here is a funny thought that I had. I'm a bit embarrassing to say this, but I'll do it anyway. The thought came up because I had a lucid dream of meeting a woman, getting a little sexually involved. And this morning I was looking outside and the trees look so beautiful. And I can relate to the trees, and I mentioned that I can relate with the deer in one of the video. I mentioned that. Oh, a tree, the bird. It's just the equality, the sense of being I can share, I feel. I think that's good because there's no barrier and everything is equal. There's a saying, Zen saying, I forgot what the exact word. Yeah, one of the four wisdom, if I can remember it. Wisdom of a mirror mind, that's one. Wisdom of finding something wondrous, it's another one. Wisdom of being equal to everything, there's no ranking. That's the one I was talking about. And the last one is if you have some imagination, you can make it happen. Those are the four wisdom in Buddhism. And this is the equality. So I could relate to that. I mean, that's just so weird, perhaps, if you listen to my story straightforward, just in the mind. But if you can feel it, that's the point that I'm talking about, that I could feel like I'm being one of those trees or the bird or the deer. And that's a nice feeling. It's a melting feeling. I mentioned the word melting into nature. It's just wonderful, so peaceful. But also you can melt into this animalistic sensation, like a sexual, interest and stuff like that. So that triggered me a thought of me. This is many of the fables, Greek stories and stuff like that. There's a man with the cow and the body. No. Man with the head of a human and then body with the body of a horse or some such thing. And the Sphinx is one of them. I think Sphinx is the head is the human and the body is lion. So there are those, what's the word? Mystical, expression. And it makes total sense because when you are young and your body wants to have sex or something, and the mind says something different. So if there's no head, you behave like a dog or the horse or anything, very into that, what's the word, instinct of the animals. And we can say that's wrong in the human society, but in the world of the animals and the trees, it's just natural. They just go with the instinct to do mating and all that, and there's no argument. Isn't it interesting? I think it's interesting. So then the thought is the nothingness. That's another thought that kind of combined to this, so that in human case, there's a paradox of the brain and the heart and those emotions. And as you get older, you have much less of the problem related. Some people may be different. I know some examples. In my case, I'm fairly calm and I like it without being bothered with those instinct that can overtake us. So the point of suffering and getting out of it, relating to that story, is nothingness. And that's obvious. This is because we come from nothing, we go back to nothing. So if you know you're nothing, you don't get bothered. And how can I explain this? Nothingness is the state of being with the nature's way. Yeah. So actually, in practice of Zen, some of the Zen monks behave like very intuitive, like a animal. There's a Zen koan, which is famous koan. The monk was taken care by a woman living in the little hut or whatever. And after so many years, this woman thought, okay, she's old one and very wise perhaps, and said that, okay, maybe that monk is get to the point that let's 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 test him how much he's accomplished. So he came, she brought the woman, nice woman, and put her into this guy's house, the hut, and see what happens. That was a test. And the monk said, I'm not get bothered with women or some such thing. And then kicked the women out or some such thing. And the koan is that hearing that this woman who introduced this woman to the monk burned the house. What a waste. He had spent so much, place and hut for him and feeding and all that. But this guy didn't get it. He's still like a wooden Buddha or something. There's no emotion, there's no sense. So in that case, if you interpret, which is a difficult or dangerous thing, because there can be a different interpretation, and that's the reason for koan. But the whole point may be like, if you are not true to yourself and relate to the woman, what's the worth of you? You're like a little stick on the, or some such thing, the statue. You're not alive. So when I heard that koan, I don't know when, long time ago, I was wondering what the point of this koan was. I don't know if I can recollect what I was feeling. Well, maybe it's okay, just pass it. But the point is, there's a saying, as you do as you wish, but don't go beyond the boundary, or something like that. But the boundary in this case is, if you are following the nature's way, there's nothing wrong about it. There's this Nakayama who said something like this. This is totally different but similar in the context of the story, that he heard someone, Zen monk, who was so missing to eat the sweet yokan, which is the bean paste sweet stuff in Japan. And Nakayama's point is that that's what your body desire. So holding it up, it's not healthy. That, I think, is giving the answer to the other koan of the woman throwing these guys out with the burning of the hut. I leave it up to you to figure this out. So what's the point of it? After saying that, and I also introduced the idea of the nothingness, I don't know. I thought the nothingness would take care of it, like anything. Nothingness is relating to the nature's way. If you see it that way, then you can follow what the woman did and what Nakayama-san said. And let's leave it with that. And the moral judgment is something else, because the society need to function in a certain way. But the Zen monks, just like the case of the Ikkyu, who was found to be very playful. So there's no answer for universal setting of this is so therefore this, or something like that. You just have to find your own solution to live your life. So Nakayama may say, in this kind of situation, my mentor, it is like in the case of yokan, the sweet stuff. If it creates problem by taking some action, you're not smart to do that. So it's a very wise opinion. So it depends on the situation. And I'll leave it with that. But I thought this story was somewhat interesting because the image that happened last night kind of stayed with me, and I was wondering, because I'm alone and very peaceful, but those imagination or something of that nature pop up and go through it. By sharing this in this platform, I don't know what's the point of it, but just openness, sincere and truthful in terms of what I'm going through in my life, and still have this sense of life energy, aliveness. You know, you are not just to be, so that's, I think, is the criteria from the point of view of living with your heart at the center, which is listen to your heart and the energy is there. And if you want the yokan, to sweet stuff, sweet beans, don't just sit there. It's okay. That's one answer. There may be other answer for any situation, but it's Koan is Koan. It's a question that each has to resolve, which doesn't result in unhappy situation. I think that's the good way to put it. The koan is typically like that. Because like the case of this woman who burned the house for the monk, maybe he was just feeling perfectly serene and like a Buddha, for example. Why bother? This woman came and so nice, okay, but it all depends. Yeah, I guess that was the answer I came up with that koan, that it can be taken in a different way. This woman took it in certain way given the situation, but could be a different solution that what the monk did, just sitting, maybe just perfect. I can think of such an example for my own life too. Little joke, but relating to this kind of thing and figuring out the solution on your own is part of living life. So I guess I like to confirm that when I'm doing this on YouTube, it's weird in many standards to talk about this and that. And I also posted this Vipassana with the saying that on the 8th day I had the experience of having sex with the universe. I wondered if I should say it and post it on YouTube. But at the same time, it depends on the situation, the person you talk to. So there's the danger, or how do you call it? Understanding. Also my part too, if there's a threshold of not going beyond. But at the same time, maybe I'm a little bit playful. And that's part of who I am. And that's part of this myo, the wondrous nature of human being. These things can be refreshing and, depends on how you take it. You can be upset and what is that religion? It's not the religion, and you can complain that. But that's part of life, I think. Yeah, I think Jesus said whoever had not had the lie or some desire, don't you think that's the way you should deal with the situation? I think that was one of the sermon or something. So it's whether or not we have the wisdom in us to be able to make good judgment. I think that's the point of it. Thank you.